Welcome back to the Sundowners Club, where we are going to be breaking down the top 10 Big Brother USA players of all time. Before we get started, if you like what you see and hear today, leave a comment below, hit the like button, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button so we can grow our content and channel, and we thank you. Big Brother is one of the oldest reality TV shows on network television in the United States. It's also got shows throughout the world, but we're going to be focusing specifically on the United States best players today. And before we do, I'd like to mention that there's a few players that I would like to single out that I give an honorable mention to before we get to the top 10, and we'll get right into that. So one of the first players that I'd like to mention would be Jessie Godderz, aka Mr. Pactacular. Now, Jessie played in not only Big Brother Season 10, but also Season 11. And what's unique about Jessie's experience is, I thought he was in pretty good positions in both seasons in the house. And in both seasons, starting in Big Brother 10, he was ousted by America's Player Twist in Season 10, and then the coup d'etat in Season 11. Through no fault of Jessie's. So he got the short end of the stick. Wanted to see what kind of player he would be further on in the game. He never got that opportunity. He was compelling to watch, and I know people will say Jessie slept a lot, but when he showed up on television sets at night, we got the best of Jessie. He was involved in some good drama in both seasons, and so I wanted to highlight Jessie and give him an honorable mention. The next person that I'd like to mention, I guess you could say she was a villainess in Season 12 of Big Brother, and it would be Rachel Riley. Rachel comes into Big Brother Season 12, meets her future husband in Brendan, and Rachel, was seen as a villainous character, but she was such a comp beast. She didn't care about letting her opinion be known. She was never boring to watch. I know for some people, it was hard to listen to her talk, and they didn't like her, and she was seen as a villain. But she had 10 competition wins between both Big Brother Season 12 and Season 13. Absolute comp beast. She comes back in Big Brother 13 and somewhat revitalizes her image and gains fans. I liked Rachel a lot more in Season 13. Thought she played the game well and gets to the end of the game and wins, so she's a former winner, and she makes our honorable mention list. Next up, I want to go into my favorite BB season of all time, BB6, and call out Maggie Osbourne. Maggie was part of the Friendship Alliance going up against the Sovereign Six, so you had a split house, which we love. You had these alliances that were formed. It got heated. It was dramatic, and Maggie didn't necessarily have to win comps. She was pretty cemented in her alliance and maneuvered through the game very well, wins the game, very underrated player. She gets an honorable mention on my list of greatest BB players of all time. So now I'm going to go to what I call my 11th place. The person right outside the top 10, could have easily been in the top 10, but I have him in 11th place, and that's Paul from Big Brother 18 and Big Brother 19. Paul really dominated the game, and in his earlier season in Big Brother 18, we saw a little bit of all sides to him. He came from the bottom, rose back up, won competitions. He won 6 comps in Big Brother 18 and should have won the game. Comes back the following year, didn't really like the game he played. He did some things I thought were unnecessary, personal, that he didn't need. He was a good enough player to not have to do any of that. But nonetheless, he wins another 8 comps for a total of 14 competition wins in 2 seasons. This time he makes it to the end again, and jury management was not as well crafted as it was the prior year when he should have won. So I don't think he should have won in BB19, but I got to give Paul a lot of credit for making it to the final seats in 2 consecutive seasons. He comes in at number 11 on my list. So now let's look at the top 10. Coming in at number 10 is a little bit of a controversial pick in a sense that you don't see in recent Big Brother top lists this person consistently on there, but I believe they deserve to be there, and I'll tell you why. And that person is June Song from BB4. June was the first winner in BB history to receive no eviction votes against them the entire game. By the way, that took 15 seasons for her winning in BB4 for another person that was non-white to win, which was Josh Martinez in BB19. So she deserves a distinction for that as well. And so we've often talked about diversity in Big Brother or lack thereof. June early on wins the game. And so also June played a similar game to Dr. Will in that she didn't have to win competitions. She would float in and out of alliances, so to speak. She was in several alliances, but when it came time to move and shift, she did. She adapted. She knew how to betray someone when time came to do that. Look no further than G. She gets to the end of the game. She wins in a 6-1 vote. And I think every top 10 list has to have a little bit of a wild card, debatable pick. She is that, but she makes my top 10 list coming in at number 10. June Song. So now let's go to number 9 on my list, and that is someone from a more recent season of Big Brother, and that is Xavier Prather from BB23. Now look, all right, I know Tiffany Mitchell's game in the cookout and in BB23 deserves a lot of credit. I love Tiffany, was rooting for her the whole way. But you cannot overlook what Xavier accomplished. Xavier won 6 comps that season. He survived the block 5 times. He was a leader in possibly the best alliance in the history of Big Brother. They at least belong in the discussion in the cookout as one of the greatest alliances. He was a leader in that alliance, and he wins in a 9-1 vote. Xavier played a great game. He's an all-timer. He belongs at number 9 on my list. Coming in at number 8, Janelle Perzina. Janelle from BB6, BB7, BB14, and BB22. So to get a sense of how strong of a comp player Janelle was in both Season 6 and Season 7, look no further than the record that she held of 9 competition wins in Season 6, which, by the way, I said was my favorite season of all time and was, I think, the greatest season worth rewatching again for all the things that happened in that season. But Janelle wins 9 competitions, and that record lasted over 17 seasons until Michael Bruner finally tied it this past year. So she deserves a lot of credit for that. And then she also came in 3rd 2 years in a row in what I see as the golden age of Big Brother, where players weren't trying to increase their social media presence. There wasn't social media, and they came to win the game. And Janelle was a competitor. She was fierce. You could see the switch flip in BB6, and when she turned it on, she was unstoppable. She comes back in BB7, gets to 3rd place 2 years in a row. Could have won either season or both. And Janelle's an all-time great player. She comes in at number 8 on my list, and it's well-deserved. All right, coming in at number 7, one of my personal favorites of all time. It's Danielle Reyes from BB3 and BB7. Now, Danielle literally changed the game. How so? Well, back in BB3, the jurors were allowed to see the diary sessions of the players, and that came back to really hurt Danielle at the end of the game. She played a masterful game, was in the secret alliance, gets all the way to the end, should have won the game, but the jurors get to see her diary sessions where we know from years of Big Brother, people vent, they talk trash about other players, and they believe it's private and it's secret, and they allowed the jurors to see that. She loses in BB3. Big Brother's production realizes the mistake that was. They end up making a change for future seasons where now the jurors are sequestered and they cannot see the diary session. So she literally changed the game. Can't say that about a whole lot of players, but she did. And for that reason, she deserves a lot of credit. She makes my top 10 list. By the way, she comes back in BB7, handles herself very well, gets relatively deep in the game against the All-Stars, and showed that it was not a fluke, the type of game that she played. Wasn't dependent upon any particular individual. All-time great player. Comes in number 7 on my list, Danielle Reyes. So now we get to number 6 on the list, Cody Calafiore from BB16 and BB22. Cody was an interesting one because it's hard to talk about Cody without talking about Derek from BB16. But let's look a little deeper at BB16. Cody was in the Hitman Alliance, was an equal partner in that alliance. He won 6 competitions. He never had a vote get cast against him all season in BB16. So keep that in mind when we talk about BB22. And then, of course, he cost himself a sure win by not taking Victoria to the final 2. We know that. But the fact that he comes back in BB22 and never saw the block the whole season, so never had a vote cast against him in 2 seasons, and he wins in a unanimous 9-0 vote. Heck of a player, deserves a lot of credit for things that happened not only in BB22 but also in BB16. He comes in at number 6 on my list. Number 5 on the all-time list of BB players is KC from BB20. Now, I don't know about you, but for several seasons, I was starting to lose interest in Big Brother, and then BB20 came along. BB20 had fierce competitors. You had Angela, you had Tyler, who, by the way, Casey joined their level 6 alliance. Smart to do that. And then you look at the end game that Casey has to play. How's she going to get Angela and Tyler out of the game? She's in an alliance with them, and the only way to do that is to win. If you look at what Angela and Tyler accomplished together in BB20, they had 11 competition wins between the 2 of them, and Casey still won. That's a tribute to her game. Casey won 7 times by herself individually, and then she gets the target solely on Tyler, gets to the end of the game, wins the game against Tyler after Angela gets booted. She is an all-time player. I think it's been proven over and over again now that you see her on other competition shows where she's won. She's dominant. She comes in number 5 on my list, KC. When you're looking at a top 10 list, you've got heroes in you've got villains. And there is no greater villain in BB history than Evil Dick Donato from BB-8 and BB-13. One of the most important things I think you need to think about when referring to Evil Dick on the all-time list and where his place is on it is that Evil Dick has the distinction of being the all-time oldest winner of Big Brother. That record still holds to this day. The closest person in age to Evil Dick is almost 8 years younger than him, and that is Boogie from BB7. Why is that so different and unique? It is very difficult to go into a house where there are a bunch of young 20-somethings and you're 10, 15 years, 20 years older than them. You have to have food restrictions, maybe on slop. That impacts you the older you get. The competitions impact you in a more negative way the older you get. And the social construct of these young people, and you're a lot older than them. So the fact that Dick comes into the house, from the minute he walked in the room, he was a target for all the people that wanted to make Danielle feel better and getting her father out so she could play the game. He has an immediate target on his back. He survives it. He forms an alliance with his daughter. They run through the game. He wins the game. He comes back in BB-13. I know he wasn't there long, but he formed some alliances quickly with the returning players in Brendan and Rachel and Jordan and Jeff and his daughter. And then they find out about the Golden Key. And in the Golden Key, whoever's nominated, the person next to them, if they survive eviction, they get the Golden Key and they're safe for several weeks. Dick took advantage of that, brings in Portia, says, we'll save you. You're going to stay. You get the key. You vote with us. You're with us. And so he started to realize how to maneuver through that very quickly early on in the game, trying to pave the way for what was going to come later. Deserves some credit for that. I know he left for medical reasons. Another quick blurb about Dick is that in BB-8, he did something that nobody had really done before. He understood production and their ability to manage who might go home and who might not. So he would not reveal who they were voting out until right before the live shows, so production couldn't do anything to tamper. And that was a real unique skill set, and it showed how deep and clever a player Dick was. He comes in number 4 on my list. Now we're in the top 3. These 3 individuals pretty consistently make everybody's top 3 list, and they made mine as well. First one coming in at number 3 is Derek Lavasiere from BB-16. Derek, one half of the Hitman Alliance, being the only winner that has beaten somebody else in my top 10 list, in Cody. Derek controlled BB-16. You know, he was meticulous, precise. He won 4 comps, never saw the block until Final 3, which, oh, by the way, had not been done since Big Brother 3. And then he cemented his win in a 7-2 vote. But it also showed by Cody taking him to the Final 2 how strong of a hold he had over a really great player in Cody to be taken to the Final 2, and Derek deserves some credit for that. Derek is an all-timer. I think any type of show that involves the type of strategy that he deployed in BB-16, he'd be great at. He comes in at number 3 of my list. All-time great.
Cody and I are the hitmen, and I don't want to see him go on the block. That being said, I have to look out for my game over anybody else's.
Now we're in the final 2. Coming at number 2 is my Babe Ruth of Big Brother. It's Dr. Will Kirby. What can you say about Dr. Will? A guy that could have won a bunch of competitions, but chose strategically to not win them. And that is important. You see a lot of people come in seasons of Big Brother in the modern era, and they want to win competitions. Put a target on their back, they're gone. Will knew that competitions was not the key to winning the game, and understood that early on. And he did. I don't know that he won any competition in either one of Big Brother 2 or Big Brother 7, but the guy had the ability to form relationships, but also be unpredictable. He goes through the game. He got nominated 4 times in BB2, which also, by the way, had no power of veto back then. So if you were on the block, you had to talk your way out of eviction night and surviving to fight another day. He did that more than 4 times. And then, you know, look at the fact that he comes back in BB7 and realizes Janelle's a heck of a player because he watched her the season before, knew that she was a comp beast as well, forms a relationship with Janelle, gets the Chilltown Alliance going with Boogie, and you would think that they would be nominating him every week, that he'd be to go home. But no, I think he got nominated twice. He ends up going to 4th place in BB7, which was astonishing. Showed how great of a player he was. Will comes in at number 2 on my list. He put BB on the map. He's number 2.
I just have to make it official. Congratulations, Will. By a vote of 5-2, you are the winner of Big Brother 2.
The top spot, it's an easy one. Dan Giesling, Big Brother 10 and Big Brother 14. In Big Brother 10, when the show first started, Dan was on shaky ground. You could see the wheels turning. It took him a few weeks before he got his footing. Once he did, he was off to the races. You know, he formed the alliance with Memphis, the Renegades. He's also famous for the roulette veto and how he put Michelle on the block. Ollie throws a fit and starts destroying stuff. That made for great TV. You know, he was called Judas by Jerry. Dan was Machiavellian, manipulative, got his way through the game, got to the end, and talked his way into a unanimous vote. And I think it was ended up being a 7-0 vote. He returns in BB14. I know people have mixed emotions about BB14, and I do as well. But one of the things that I liked is when Dan left the coach role and became a player, he was working. He gets caught. They try to take him out. He gives the legendary Dan's funeral speech. People are crying. They're feeling bad for him. He had been plotting it. He gets pulled off the block, survives, gets to the end of the game, and one of the great moves, he's on the block at Final Four. He talks Danielle into taking him off the block and putting up her showman Shane, but he promises her that he won't vote Shane out. He's going to, of course, vote Ian out, which he doesn't do. He gets blood up to his elbows, takes Shane out. Danielle's stunned. He makes the final two with Ian, and he should have won the game. And opinions vary, but you look at Ian, who was very well liked, the jurors, young kid, and Dan was a previous winner. I think winning the game before hurt him in the final vote. There was nothing he could do about it. He was a former winner. He deserved to win the game over Ian, in my opinion, but he didn't. It doesn't change the fact that Dan's the GOAT. He's number one on my all-time list of Big Brother players in history.
You will always be Judas in my house.
You know, I don't know if things in this house can get any better for me. This is incredible. This is the one thing that I could have asked for.
Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you like what you saw and heard, leave a comment below, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button so we can grow the channel. Thanks.